And welcome to Business Incorporated, your daily window for markets, money, and economy. Here's what we're tracking at this moment. Kenya's central bank lowers interest rates for 7th time. Zambia's central bank holds interest rates to contain inflation. And South Africa's business confidence hits a 4-month high in July. Great to have you join us on the show. I am Will Ibang. Let's check in first on the commodities markets and see, just checking on the markets and see how they're doing. We see metals markets, we see oil and gas, we see that space is doing so well today. We see it up at intraday. Gold, you see it 0.3% up at 3,354,000. And we see Brent crude. Let's start with Brent crude first of all. We see Brent prices down at intraday 0.47% at $65.81 a barrel. And WTI is also down $62.75 a barrel. And this is coming as investors are seeing the rise in, well, the interest rates cut in the U.S. Well, that's what we're expecting after the U.S. inflation data that came out yesterday. But let's see how metals market performed. We see the U.S. spot gold is up 0.3% at 3,354. And we see U.S. gold futures also up 0.1%. Spot gold, spot silver is also up 1.3% at $38.39 per ounce. Platinum is also up at 0.39% at $1,359. And we see palladium also up 0.23% at $1,144. But let's see how other markets are faring. Seeing basically in Africa, we're seeing Kenya's markets. We see that interest rate there from the central bank lowering for the 7th time. See the interest rate being lowered to 9.5% from 9.75%, marking the 7th straight cut in line with expectations. Now, the Central Bank of Kenya says price pressures remain under control, but the economy faces strain from heavy debt repayments and weak revenue collection. Now, growth forecast remains at 5.2% from this year and 5.4% for 2026, while the current account deficit is projected at 1.5% up of GDP, and that's up from 1.3% last year. Let's look at Zambia now. Let's see how the economy is faring. They're holding their own interest rates in contrast to what we saw in Kenya. Zambia's central bank has left its benchmark interest rate unchanged at 14.5% for the 2nd consecutive meeting to further contain inflation. Now, the central bank governor announced this decision today, Wednesday, in Lusaka, saying the Monetary Policy Committee is maintaining its tight stance to consolidate gains in price stability. Now, the move signals the bank's commitment to containing inflationary pressures amid economic challenges. Now let's see what's happening in South Africa. We see unemployment crisis there. It has worsened in the country. Statistics South Africa revealed that the unemployment rate for the 2nd quarter now stands at 33.2%, and that's marking a 0.3% rise from the previous quarter. Now, the number of unemployed persons rose by 140,000 to 8.4 million, while that of employed people increased by 19,000 to 16.8 million. Now, according to Stats SA, the largest decreases in employment were recorded in community and social services, followed by finance and agriculture. But see, it's still in South Africa. Meanwhile, we're having that unemployment crisis. We're seeing business confidence climbing to a 4-month high in July, rising to 116.7 from 113.2 in June. And the boost comes after stronger car sales, increased manufacturing output, high precious metal prices, and steady inflation, which is what we're not seeing in Kenya, but possibly in Zambia as well. But however, you see U.S. tariff on South African exports, which is also driving that, and that took effect last week under President Donald Trump, and it could dampen sentiment for the rest of the year, according to analysts. Now, officials are pushing for a new trade deal to secure lower duties or protect key industries. And the business chamber warns that the tariff could hurt the economy and strain long-term trade ties with growth forecast weak. South Africa is also saying it's keeping strong relations with the U.S., which is vital for them at this moment. And let's see, still in South Africa, what's happening there in terms of trade relations. South Africa has signaled that it's going to be partnering with other countries to promote their trade, especially for farm produces. And we see that development for the South African Minister of Small Business Development, Stella Ndabeni, has emphasized the limited participation of small businesses in both regional and global markets. Now, speaking at the 2025 Pakistan South Africa Trade Summit, she identified key barriers such as limited access to finance, inadequate infrastructure, and the shortage of effective business development agencies as major challenges. Now, the summit is spotlighting opportunities across several high-growth sectors. And let's take a listen.
About saying small business matters. We're growing economies, we're transforming economies, but we are also creating jobs. Because yes, the big firms are contributing to tax and the many other important things that they're doing, but jobs are created by smaller enterprises. And yet, the participation of small enterprises in regional and global value chains remain limited due to the structural challenges that even my brother spoke about. The barriers like the limited access to finance, the poor infrastructure, the lack of business development services, fragmented markets, and regulatory complexities. Those are what are really hammering the participation or the meaningful participation of small enterprises in the global and regional value chains.
Now, in today's competitive economy, data is what we call power, and some call it oil. Now, especially with the boom in artificial intelligence, we're seeing an unprecedented leap in how data is gathered and used, especially from uncovering market trends to guiding investment decisions. AI-driven analytics is reshaping how companies in Africa and beyond grow, compete, and adapt. But how do we navigate it all? Johnny Todo, AI and data analytics expert, joins us virtually from Leeds in the UK. Good afternoon, John. It's good to have you join us.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's good to be here. Yeah, thank you.
John, how exactly is AI, looking at what's happening now, we see how countries are adopting AI, everyone's working with AI now. How is it impacting the day-to-day activities of data analysts today?
So it has generally made, you know, the processes and basically the processes to be a lot more streamlined, a lot more easy, faster. Before, you have to be savvy with programming languages and, you know, have to know how to communicate with databases. But now with as little as a well-intentioned AI prompt, you know, you can get all those things that you need codes to write done just with an instruction to your AI platforms.
Okay, but with so many AI emerging tools right now, how can data analysts choose the right ones, especially for work, especially for the fact that Africa is a growing and emerging economy?
So again, in order to choose the best AI tools for your business case, you have to first of all look at what you are aiming to achieve from your organization. So that will now determine. So again, you consider the ease of doing it and also the technical know-how. So first of all, you consider platforms that are readily available to you. Like one that readily comes to mind are the ones that we usually use while I was back home, the Power BIs and the Tableaus and the likes. So those large organizations that houses these platforms are steadily on their toes, making sure that AI is implemented into their systems. So yeah, I believe that this AI platforms or these AI systems are gradually being integrated into your daily data analytics tools, and it's making the whole process and the whole activities of data analysis a lot more easier.
Okay, looking beyond the traditional Power BI, which is probably integrating AI as we speak and other automations, what ways can data analysts uncover deeper business insights? Looking right now, data is key to making decisions for economies and all that. How can data analysts feed into this?
So again, that's the whole idea of being a data analyst, because one, you are being trained, or you learn how to interact with data. Again, data speaks a lot of stories, so it's just all about storytelling. So what is your data saying? So keying into the AI advancement, as I said, organizations need to have say, for instance, research and development teams who are are keen and on their toes every day to get grasp of the new AI platforms or systems that are being churned out, because again it's a daily thing, because you can sleep today and wake up tomorrow. The systems have been advanced. So with strong research and development, organizations can always be at par, can always be at the forefront of their peers. Yeah.
Okay, but do you see the risk in AI, maybe say taking over some jobs? Like in Kenya now, we got the news that over 700 employees lost their jobs because they were replaced by AI. How do you see AI replacing jobs for data analysts and maybe many more roles that would not require a human interface?
So one thing we should understand here is that AI is here to stay. And for instance, now the industrial revolution, that whole era has gone, and now the new phase of doing things, or new ways of doing things, have come into play. So the AI taking jobs, I totally agree with that. But I would say that the ways of doing things is changing. So individuals should need to align themselves with the new way of doing things to make themselves employable, to make themselves competitive in the new market. So I'm going to mention just one particular skills now, that is coming into power now, because now we have these AI systems. We need to know how to communicate with them, and how do you communicate with them is prompting. So now there's a new wave of jobs now, prompt engineers who are coming, who are already there, or who are developing, and and people would should be um, you know to move at par with the way the world is going. And it may look it may seem so easy coming from my own side, but me, I'm coming from a marketing background. So I've always been a marketer myself. But because the way I've been able to analyze, man, and so with so many other people, because I've even seen people who are especially here, people who came into the health sector, and now they are retrained, they've reskilled themselves, and now find credence in this field. So yes, AI is here to stay, and we should just try to be at par, and develop ourselves to be relevant, with the new ways of doing things.
And do you see the government, just one final thought very quickly, do you see the government playing a role here in helping help advance AI, and also to help in decision making when it comes to government decisions that has to do with the economy?
Oh yes, data is power. It's the new kind of oil, as you rightly introduced. This topic. Anybody who has data, can chart the course of how decisions is being made. So yes, government. I can see that in some of their certain kind parastatals that are being established now, taking into account of AI and its derivatives. I also see I can't really remember the name now, but it readily comes to mind that I was having the email alert training people for free into getting into artificial intelligence and data allied occupations. And this is, this shows that at least some people are listening, and again, the way the world is going, we don't want to be behind in this aspect. Like, take for instance, I will just cite an instance. We have self-driving cars already being implemented in the US, and sometime in this year is going to come to the United Kingdom. So again, it has to do with policies. Government has to continue to, while they are doing what they are already doing, they need to get enabling policies, that can make this aim to be achieved.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be tracking how AI is empowering data analysts and also decision-making in Africa, on the continent, which is very key to helping us leapfrog into the future, which we want now. Thank you so much, Johnny Todo, AI and data analytics expert, joining us virtually from Leeds in the UK.
All right, then. Bye.
And so let's see how other markets are doing now. We see African markets. Let's look at the Nigeria's NGX up at intraday, still sustained by the rally in the insurance sector, up 0.09% at 146,000 at intraday. We hope it closes at 146. That'll be a fresh record. And we see the GSC in South Africa jumping 1.15% to a fresh record of 102,435 points. Let's look at Egypt, if they performed any better. We'll see them on the flip side in negative territory at intraday, 0.86% at 35,693 points. And in Kenya, we see them performing in the green on Tuesday, closing that up 0.02% at 162 points. Let's see how market closes today. Let's look at other markets in the Middle East now. We see Dubai down 0.62%. Also in Abu Dhabi, also down 0.11%. Let's see within the region, Saudi, that's the Tadawul index, is also down 0.12%. But Qatari index for a second consecutive day is up 1.87% at intraday, bucking that negative trend there. Let's look at U.S. markets now. We see the Dow Jones Industrial Average 0.29% up. Most of the indexes are just in the green, and this is coming from the inflation data that we saw yesterday. Even though inflation is up, most people are still seeing higher food prices, but the hope for an expected interest rate cut is what is jumping and boosting investor sentiment right now. But let's see how markets traded yesterday with our correspondent, Maria Bird.
The U.S. stock market was on an uptick on Tuesday as the Dow Jones was up at 1.1%. The S&P 500 was also up at 1.1%. And the heavy tech Nasdaq took an upward swing of 1% on Tuesday, as many investors were watching to see the inflation reports, as the Bureau of Labor and Statistics released core inflation at 3.1%, which is a bit higher than was previously expected. But the Consumer Price Index showed a year-over-year uptick of 2.7%, which was a little bit lower than economists were expecting. They were expecting a 2.8% increase. This has many investors wondering if we will see interest rate cuts in the month of September.
Let's look at Asia markets, how they performed. Very green. We see Nikkei up 1.3%. Also, we see in the Kospi also up 1.08%. That's in South Korea. And the answer in China is up 2.58%. That's a big jump. Let's look at mainland China. We see them also in the green, 0.48%, and the Nifty also closing in the green. Markets are reacting to the U.S. inflation data that was released yesterday. Very good investments, confidence right there that the Fed might cut rates anytime soon. But let's see how markets performing in the EU. We're heading right there, and I know Lars Alter has got news for us from Berlin. Lars, how are markets doing right now?
Yeah, well, isn't it interesting how much green you have? And it's all for one reason. And I want to just add to this, everything's pretty much green throughout Europe here too. I'm looking at London, I'm looking at Paris, but especially strong here is actually German markets today, with the DAX in Frankfurt up almost 1%. Now, we haven't seen that in a while, because I told you yesterday, we talked about it. In fact, the last couple of days here, the market was kind of tired, uninspired, and now there was these strong numbers out of the United States. You just mentioned it, well, better than expected economic data, in this case inflation. But You know, I want to point out, as much as this is helping markets around the world, as much as this is also helping German markets, we know that going forward, economic data from the US will have to be taken with a grain of salt after President Trump made it clear that he will have his people manipulate data to his liking if necessary. We have just seen this in developments over the last couple of days with the Bureau of Labor Statistics here. So we see on the one side, of course, strong data in America is actually helping markets find orientation, often for the better, but strong economic data in the US can probably not be interpreted with the usual certainty anymore a couple of months from now, maybe.
Well, let's just quickly change gears right now. I know we have a lot to talk about in that segment, but summer is travel season, and you've got the latest numbers. Germany recorded record-breaking 223 million overnight stays in the first quarter of this year. That's driven mainly by domestic tourists. How is tourism sector performing overall?
Well, you know, the good news here is travel is as good here too. Tourism up, albeit slightly, only looking at the first half of the year. So that obviously only covers the time getting into the beginning of summer. And it's leaving out what for many people in Europe is the prime travel time, pretty much just around now, July and August. Anyway, looking at those most recent numbers for the first half of the year, we're seeing growth of about 0.1% for travel within Germany. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but it actually comes on top of a record year last year. So we're seeing an extremely strong trend over the past few years with a lot of people visiting or traveling within the country here. Now, what's interesting, numbers of international visitors have gone down by 12%, but that is because last year Germany hosted the Football Euro Cup, and that obviously brought in a lot of visitors from all the participating nations. That is obviously a one-time event now. With that factor gone, interesting enough, this is all being made up now by domestic travelers, hence a slight uptick here in the bottom line.
So why is domestic travel so strong?
Well, you know, well, I want to say it's because Germans are realizing more and more how beautiful their own country is. There are great cities to explore. There's great hiking. There's beautiful coasts and mountains and castles. However, if I'm really honest here, the strong growth in domestic travel is much more coming due to two factors, and those are not really that positive. For one, even though the economy is now coming back a bit, growing a little stronger again, we've had some rough times here, as you know, a long recession then followed by stagnation. Despite new initiatives by the government to prop up the economy, growth is now only coming back very slowly. And in such an environment, people tend to vacation on the cheap. Obviously, travel within the country is a lot cheaper indeed. No need to fly there, so that's a big one. And then there's another factor. Traveling abroad for many people has become less attractive, especially with regards to the United States. It used to be one of the top travel destinations for Germans, but under the Trump presidency, with all the troubles around trade, but also immigration, visa, and even the outright horrible cultural developments there, many people currently don't want to travel there, and that's not only true, by the way, for Germans, but actually affects tourism from other countries as well.
Thank you so much, Lars, for that detail there. We'll be looking forward to more numbers from Germany. Thank you so much for joining us from Berlin. And let's check in with the crypto space right now. And we have Ladi here to tell us Ethereum is taking center stage.
Yes, Ethereum is on fire at this point, 6.7% of $4,695. Bitcoin trying to make that move back to the all-time high. We're still sitting at $120,355. Solana crossing that $200 level again at this point. So we're seeing bullish sentiment all across. Even BNB is not left out. Let's look at some of the headlines now. We see cryptocurrency exchange bullish. They've priced their initial public offering at $37 per share. We're not talking naira there, it's dollars actually. Then we also see Ethereum there. Standard Chartered, they've hiked their 2025 Ethereum target, and they're looking at $7,000. That's their price target there for Ethereum at the end of 2025. We also see Ethereum outshining Bitcoin on ETFs inflows. They're about $1 billion there. That's the inflow into Ethereum. So we're seeing bullish sentiment still permeating around the market, and it's on the back of that US CPI data we got yesterday. It did meet expectations. lower than expected, and that, I guess it's risk-on sentiment from that. We'll see if this continues to the end of the week. So quite an interesting forecast there we're seeing for price action for Ethereum, and that's coming from Standard Chartered. Will, so many forecasts at this point for what prices Bitcoin and Ethereum is going to be at the end of 2025.
Definitely, we've seen that. You said, talked about 7,500, so it's going to be more dirty December for some people.
Yeah, some people, you know, at this point.
are getting ready for that fun.
Yeah, but again, that's not financial advice.
And that's a wrap on Business Incorporated. To join us tomorrow again for another edition. I am Will Ivan. Thanks for watching.